This interview was recorded at the World Fantasy Convention held in Toronto, Ontario in 2012. Hi all, we're here today at the World Fantasy Convention in Toronto, and we're speaking with Nancy Kilpatrick. And how's the con treating you, Nancy?
It's very good. It's lots of fun so far.
That's excellent. Okay, I know you have a laundry list of books.
I do.
Are there any particular standouts you'd like to mention?
Well, I'd like to mention the two recent ones that have just come out. I have a collection of short stories and 3 novellas. It's called Vampiric Variations. And the reason it's called that is because it's a lot of different types of vampires. So I'm not so fixated on one, you know. So there's that book, and I also have a new anthology that I've edited, Dance Macabre, Close Encounters with the Reaper, which has stories by a lot of people, including Tanith Lee, Brian Lumley, Tom Piccarelli, Brian Hodge, Lucy Taylor. There's many people, I'm sure I've forgotten a lot of them. Really good stories about the original Dance Macabre artwork and how it translates into literature.
That's neat. I like the Dance Macabre idea. Now, here's what a loaded question. Do your vampires sparkle?
None.
Good.
There's a variety, but none are sparklers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Others do sparkles. See, there's already a plethora of sparkly vampires in the world.
Mm. Yes, I always thought a vampire should have some bite. You know.
Mind bite.
Yes. Actually, a few years ago, I took your course on editing.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
okay.
Your internet course.
Oh,
and
right.
preparatory to that, I got a couple of your books and read them through, and I said, okay, this is pretty decent stuff, you know.
That's good. It's good to do your homework before you take a course so you know who you're dealing with, yeah.
Okay, so you've got the 2 new books out.
Yeah.
And I know this is a horrible question to ask, but any favorites of the backlist?
I don't really hold any favorites. I mean, I love them all. You know, if I didn't love what I was doing, I wouldn't be doing it. So each book is its own focus, its own love. That's the way I feel about it.
How about a gateway to the works of Nancy Kilpatrick?
A gateway?
Yeah, a gateway book.
What do you mean?
Well, if you had somebody who's completely unfamiliar with your work,
yes.
Which book would you say, try this one on first?
Ooh, that's tough. But I'd probably ask them, do you like short stories or do you like novels? You know, I'd have to kind of find that out. But presuming they like novels, I would say, why don't you start with the first book in the Power of the Blood World, which is Child of the Night. If they like short stories, I would probably recommend the most recent collection, which is the one that's just out, Vampiric Variations.
Okay. Do you think that vampires are going to continue in basically holding the throne of the paranormal genre for a while yet?
They've always been with us. In mythology, in folklore, and then in literature. This is not a creature that has ever disappeared. We can trace them back to 2500 BC, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the first ones that were mentioned. And pretty well every culture on the planet, except for maybe 2, has a vampire mythology. So this is not a creature that will go away. And sometimes the vampire goes into a kind of a hiatus, but that always turns around and then we see them come back in a new way. So I think recently we've seen a lot of young adult vampires, we've seen a lot of romantic vampires. There's also, seems to be now a bit of a backlash to some of that, and so we're seeing some of the more horrific vampires coming back in a new way too. So yeah, I don't think this is going to disappear. The Vampire Evolves, which happens to be another anthology that I edited, called Evolve, and it's the new vampire. And I don't see it as changing, I see it as evolving. And a second anthology I did was Evolve 2, Vampire Stories of the Future Undead, because I wanted to see where people would take this vampire into the future. As we humans evolve, they evolve with us. They're creatures of our imagination, so basically where are they going to go? And the authors came up with some amazing ideas. So no, it's not dead at all. There's lots of room to go forward here.
Okay, have you ever... I've read a couple of your works. I'm far from reading the whole body, and I apologize for that, but there's only so many hours in a day. But have you done any work with the quasi-vampiric? Things that, like hungry ghosts and those kind of mythical things?
Yeah, I wouldn't have called them quasi-vampiric, but I have certainly done hungry ghost type stories, yes.
Okay.
Not novels, but stories, yeah.
Okay. And overall, where do you see publishing going in the next 5 years?
To hell. I don't know. I mean, nobody really knows the answer to that question. We're in a huge period of change. Ebooks have made a huge difference in this industry, and the leveling out where everybody can publish their own work has also changed things. Now, as somebody said earlier today on a panel, there's no gatekeeper between the reader and the writer anymore to basically determine what is good literature, somebody who is knowledgeable enough so it separates the wheat from the chaff in a way. But I don't know. People, I hear from people a lot that they're fed up with ebooks that are put out that are badly written and poorly put together and badly formatted, and if you buy enough of these and you spend your money, even your little 99 cents, which a lot of them sell for, you get tired of it and you don't want to take the chance anymore, which is the unfortunate part. It's not just a sort of diminishing of the industry in terms of the sales and the number and the price of the books, but it's also this turning people off taking a chance, and this is one of the things that's worrisome, because new writers need this. They need people to take a chance on them.
Yeah. Well, I've said it myself on some panels that unless you want everything to degrade to the level of fanfic, you better be willing to pay a decent price for your fiction, because those are your options.
I mean, a writer is writing something, and it takes a long period of time, whatever it is, to write a novel. It's not nothing, and you're selling it to someone, and it is entertainment, and it is very inexpensive entertainment when you think of it, because you have a novel that you might read over a couple of days. That is less expensive than a film, in a way, which you get for 2 hours at the most. And there's a lot of other entertainment that's also in that same realm. This is something you can reread, you can have with you forever. So it's a bargain.
Yeah. If you could be any character or profession from any of your books, which would it be?
Oh dear. I don't know. I don't know about, I said on a panel today that I guess you could say with a writer, every character that you create, there's a little piece of you in there, but it's not you. It's just a little piece of you that kind of generates that character, and the imagination takes off, and in a way you amalgamate people you've known, and you synthesize from that, and you're formulating a fantasy that maybe is revolving around something that has a tiny drop that's you. So I would be hard-pressed to sort of answer that question. I couldn't really.
No, fair enough. I understand what you're saying with that, because, well, we're all writers here.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, I think you have to love all of your characters, even the rotten ones, you have to love them, or you wouldn't be able to write them.
Or love to hate them.
Yeah, you can love to hate them, or you can just maybe even be so enmeshed with them that you're hoping to find a way to redeem them, which you can't necessarily do all the time, but it's there.
Okay. This interview brought to you by the works of Stephen B. Pearl, the finest in speculative fiction. For more, please visit my website at www.stephenpearl.com. That's www.stephenpearl.com. Happy reading. Okay, what products do you have planned for the near future?
Well, actually, I've been working on 7 novels at once for the last year and a half or so, because, yes, I'm nuts. But 7 novels in the same world, and each novel is different characters in that world. Sometimes the characters appear in each other's stories, but they're not the main characters then. So I wanted to try this as an experiment. It just came very organically to me, and what I find is that I work on a story depending on how I feel. So these characters evoke certain feelings in me, you know, in terms of their conflict. Other characters have a different conflict and they approach it differently. And then I want to work on that story because I'm interested in that dynamic. So I'm kind of writing them all at once. It's all over the place for me. But essentially the first book is finished. The second and third are about 60,000 words each, so they're 2/3 finished. So they're kind of going along. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They're I'm just writing them at this point. I'm not writing them for a particular publisher or market, or it's just a love of writing. I wanted to do this without having to pre-sell them, which is usually how I've worked in the past, where you do a proposal and you sell the idea and then you write the book based on your idea. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to write something and feel that love of writing flow through me.
That really encompasses the whole thing of the next question was going to be, do you find it hard to shift between projects? But that's covered.
It used to be, when I first started writing, I would write a lot of things at once. I think a lot of us did. You know, I'd be working on short stories, I'd be working on novels, I'd be doing nonfiction, I'd be doing all kinds of things all over the map. Over the years, that has narrowed in a way, and I can still do that if I have, for example, a short story to write for someone who's asked me to write a story and I need to do it for their anthology. I can write that and still go back and work on these novels, but it's not the same kind of extreme energy that I used to have for this. I'd rather not, but I can do it.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, let's face it, we all slow down.
I don't know if it's a slowing. It's more like a focus. The focus is different than it used to be. And yes, I could focus in the past, of course, on a project. But it was a very short-term focus in a way, because I had so many things I was doing. So it's short. I don't want to do that anymore. I like the feeling of being enmeshed in something over a longer period of time.
This is an experience I have a lot of the time. I'll be writing something, then I'll be walking down the street. I'll look up and that's so and so, and I'm seeing the physical embodiment of one of my characters.
Really? Wow.
Because I take it that doesn't happen to you.
Once in a while it has happened, but very rarely. You know, I had one book optioned twice for film. It didn't go anywhere, but the main character, vampire character in that book, I had someone in mind for it. You know, I had a particular actor. Julian Sand was the actor. Of course, he's too old now to play the part. You know, that should have been made years ago. But yeah, that kind of thing I will have. Once in a while, I will see a person who I think might be great as a particular character, but I don't really think so much that way, because I don't think so much visually, and I don't think so much in terms of film either. So I think they go hand in hand. In fact, visually, I'm really not very good at all at visual. I'm not a visual type person. It's the thing I've had to always work hard with my writing, to make it visual, because it's not my natural inclination.
I always thought it was better just to give a few hooks the audience could hang their hat on anyways, and then let their imagination fill it in, because they get to do the work, and they're far better at it than we are.
Well, yes, but you do have to have something.
Yes,
Other it becomes a generic, you know, male, generic, female.
Yeah, you need those few hooks, but it's just okay. Okay, can you give us a website where people can access more information about you and your work?
Sure, they can always go to nancykilpatrick.com, my website. I'm also on Facebook. They can certainly join me there.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.